Where are you watching from tonight? What time is it for you? Late enough to feel alone? Early enough to hear the world around you quiet down? Go ahead, dim the lights. Turn your screen brightness low. Let the clutter of your day fade into the corners. Let the cold reach you gently. Let it seep in through the walls of wherever you are. Because tonight, we're going back. Not centuries, not millennia, but deep, so deep into time that the world itself looked different. The stars were colder, the moon hung heavier, and the night was not something you could wait through. Tonight you will understand what it meant to face an Ice Age night alone. This isn't a challenge. This isn't a fantasy. It's a slow unravelling of everything you take for granted. The warmth on your skin, the hum of electricity, the knowledge that somewhere, someone knows your name. All of that vanishes. All of it. You are dropped into a time before fire was a given, before shelter was a right, before humanity had even earned the word humanity. You wake up to wind, not the kind you felt before, not the kind that moves leaves or rustles curtains. This wind is old. It comes from the glaciers, vast walls of ice that grind across the earth like sleeping giants. It does not howl, it breathes, a low constant exhale that never stops, never changes direction, never gives you peace. You feel it first on your cheeks, then in your lungs. The air tastes like stone. It bites you from the inside out. Around you, there is nothing familiar. The horizon stretches blank in every direction. No buildings, no signs, no paths carved by wheels or boots, only snow. Snow that isn't soft or pretty or bright. It's pressed down by time, crusted into layers like the pages of a book you can't read. And somewhere behind it all, a silence pulses. The kind that feels like it's watching. You're not dressed for this. No one would be. Your clothes, cotton, plastic, fibres spun in factories, do nothing here. They trap the cold against your body, hold the moisture against your skin. Within minutes you feel the chill creep up your spine and settle in your bones. You begin to shiver, but that's just your body trying. It won't last. You look up. The sky is grey, not storm grey, but bone grey, lifeless. The sun is there, technically, but it doesn't rise. It just floats dim and useless, like a coin dropped into a frozen lake. The light it gives isn't warm. It's a trick, a ghost of heat that left long ago. There are no voices, no engines, no birds. You're alone, and still the wind doesn't stop. At first your instincts argue with each other. Part of you wants to walk, find shelter, find help, find anything that proves this place isn't real. Another part urges you to stay put. Conserve energy. Try to signal for someone. But there is no signal. There is no one. And standing still just makes the cold bolder. You begin to walk. Your feet crunch into the crust of the snow. Not soft, but sharp. Not flakes, but needles. You can't feel your toes after the first 100 steps. Your nose starts to sting, then your fingers. You try to bury your hands in your sleeves, but it's like burying them in ice water. Numbness doesn't come gradually. It floods. You're not losing feeling, you're losing ownership. Time becomes strange. The sun doesn't move. You feel yourself slowing, breath by breath. Your thoughts get quiet. No panic, not yet. Just a numb acceptance, like your brain is folding itself in, tucking into the corners of your skull to preserve heat. You think about fire. Just the thought of it is ridiculous now. Laughable, like wishing for magic. You remember campfires, the hiss of logs, the way light danced on walls. But those memories feel like stories told by someone else. You have nothing here. No wood, no tools, no chance. But the people who lived in this time, your ancestors, somehow endured. They didn't have your knowledge. They didn't have your comfort, but they had each other. They had rituals, and they had something you've forgotten. Desperation trained into instinct. You hear something, not wind, not snow, a creak, a groan, low and deep, like the earth shifting in its sleep. It could be ice, massive, living ice, moving somewhere, miles away, or it could be something else. You don't know what's out there, but it knows you. This is not a place made for you, not anymore. This is a world forged by cold and silence. It has no pity, no warnings, only consequences. And night is coming. In this hour, you'll learn why even one night in the Ice Age was not something you survived. It was something you earned, tooth by tooth, step by step, bone by breaking bone. You will come to understand why no modern body, no modern mind, can truly comprehend what it means to face the dark when it stretches on forever. But for now, all you know is the cold, and the fact that something is watching you from the tree line you didn't notice before. Welcome to the Ice Age. You try to move, not because you know where to go, but because standing still feels like surrender. Your legs are stiff already, like they've forgotten what they're for. Each step sounds too loud against the hush of the land, like you're intruding on a place that doesn't want to remember footsteps. Snow cracks under you. Not soft snow, this is ancient snow, packed into brittle layers that break like old bone. You have no map, no direction. The horizon is a flat smear of pale nothing, the kind that makes you wonder if you're walking towards something or just walking away from the memory of being warm. The wind finds you again. You hadn't noticed it pause, but now it curls around your neck like it missed you. Your ears ache. The skin of your lips begins to split. There's no time here. Not in the way you understand it. The sky remains the same grey smear. The sun doesn't rise or fall. It only lurks, giving off a colourless glow that feels more like a warning than a light. You start to lose track of how long you've been walking. An hour? 2? You begin to count steps, then lose count. You try to think about something else, anything else, but the cold steals your thoughts before they can settle. You glance behind you. There are no tracks. That's when it hits you. Not just how cold it is, but how much of you is already gone. Your boots left no trace. Your breath has no warmth. The wind is erasing you with every gust. If someone were to find this place tomorrow, they'd never know you were here, that you tried. You come to a place where the ground dips. A natural bowl, ringed by a few wind-bent trees, if they can even be called trees. Just twisted, black skeletons rising from the snow. You crouch under one. Not because it helps, but because instinct tells you shelter matters, even if it's just the illusion of it. Your knees ache from the cold. Your hands can't make fists anymore. The blood has retreated somewhere deeper inside you, somewhere more important than your fingertips. You try to rub them together, but it's like rubbing two pieces of wood. Hunger sets in differently than you expected. It's not a growl, not at first, it's a weakness. Your thoughts get heavier, your limbs drag. Your jaw trembles when you try to speak aloud, though there's no one to speak to. You think again about the people who lived in this. Not visited, not studied, lived. What did they do when the sky turned like this? When the snow didn't stop falling, and the animals vanished into the white? They didn't have coats stitched in factories or waterproof boots. They had furs layered from deer and mammoth. They had sinew and bone and patience. They didn't think about the cold. They became part of it, moved with it, slept with it, fought it like a god that didn't need to win. Just wait. You are not part of this, and it knows. You hear something again, a distant crunch too heavy for the wind. Your breath halts. Every sound in your body seems too loud now. The blood in your ears, the creak of your joints, the stiff groan of your throat. You crouch low, scanning the flatness around you, but there's nothing. Just the memory of movement, something large, watching maybe, or hunting. You remember that you are meat. And here, meat doesn't survive alone. You move again, faster now, but not with purpose, just with fear. The snow catches your feet, makes your gait awkward, uneven. Your knees stop bending the way they should. You stumble more than walk. Your breath comes in clouds, but each one feels thinner than the last. You press your arms tight against your ribs, trying to keep your centre warm, but it's a losing game. Your body knows it's rationing your heat, shutting down pieces of you it considers optional. Your mind is one of those pieces. You start to forget what warmth feels like, not the idea of it. You can still picture fire, baths, blankets, but the sensation. You can't recall what it does to the skin. You can't remember the last time you weren't clenching your jaw just to keep it from chattering. The land starts to blur, not visually, but conceptually. Everything is the same. Every step leads you nowhere. The trees you pass look identical to the ones before. The snow is endless, except where it's deeper. You begin to think you're circling, but you can't know. The sun won't move. The wind doesn't change, and still it watches. Not a creature, not exactly. Just the presence of something older than fear. The land itself, the cold, the understanding that you're out of place here, that you don't belong, that you've come to a party 100,000 years too late and brought no offering. You begin to talk aloud, just small things. "I'm here, Sisae," you say, not knowing who you're talking to. You say your name, you say it again softer, you say it like an anchor, like a spell to hold yourself together. But even that begins to feel foreign, like a name carved in ice by someone else, for someone who's already gone. You find a fallen tree, just a log, half covered by snow. You sit beside it, not because it's safe, but because your body won't keep walking. Your legs ache in a way that isn't muscular. It's deeper, cellular, like they're asking you to lie down and become part of the ground. The wind pauses, just for a second, and in that second, you hear the breath of something behind you. Not close, not far, just enough. Your heart kicks, your arms flinch. You stand without thinking, without feeling your knees unlock, and you run. Not well, not fast, but with everything you have left. Because night is still coming. And if this is what the day felt like, you already know the night will be worse. You run because your body demands it, not because it makes sense. You run with frozen joints, with lungs too cold to stretch fully. You run with fear pulling your tendons tight, pumping blood into places your body had already started to abandon. You don't look back because looking back won't change what's there. It will only make it real, and the moment it becomes real is the moment you falter. The snow grabs at your ankles. It wants to hold you still. It doesn't need to trip you, only to slow you. The air tears at your throat now, not just from the cold, but from breathing too fast. Your lungs burn, but there's no heat in it, just rawness, just the ache of too much motion in a place where everything waits to die. Then something gives. Your foot punches through a shallow crust and you tumble. Not far, not hard, but hard enough that the cold meets your skin in a new place, your wrist. You land on it, awkward, sharp. Pain sparks. Not a sharp scream of it, but a dull warning. You sit up fast, cradling your arm, and listen. Silence. Nothing behind you, no breath, no crunch, no shadows. But you know it was there. You don't run, you can't, but you move faster than your body wants to, faster than your bones approve of. Every step feels like your skin might tear. You reach a stand of trees, bent, gnarled, almost skeletal. They offer no real protection, but they give the illusion of cover. You crouch beneath one, press your back to the frozen bark, and finally breathe again. And that's when it hits you. The smell. Not strong, not rotting, but earthy, smoky, fire, not yours, not natural. Somewhere someone has fire. Your eyes widen, your breath catches. You scan the distance, the horizon, the ridges, desperate for movement, for glow, for proof. But there's nothing. Just the scent, barely more than a thread. It could be a hallucination, your mind slipping from hunger and cold, or it could be the only thing that can save you now. But fire here in this wasteland, it changes everything. You feel the predators fall back, not from fear, just from patience. They smell it too. They know what fire means, so do you. Now you just have to find it. Before they find you, it's faint, so faint you almost don't trust it. But once your nose catches it again, once the scent threads its way into your brain, it becomes undeniable. Smoke. Not the thick black smoke of burning plastic or city ruin. No, this is primal. Wood smoke, dry and bitter. The ghost of warmth, drifting through a world that has none. It cuts through the snow-glutted air like a secret. Something ancient, something alive. You straighten slowly, careful not to rustle the brittle bark behind you. Every movement is a negotiation now, between what your body wants to do and what it still can. Your joints creak, your knees argue, your wrist screams when you push yourself upright. But pain is better than numbness. Pain means there's still blood in there, somewhere. You scan the horizon, trees, snow, distant shadows that might be rocks, or animals, or nothing. But no glow, no flicker. Fire hides itself well. That scent, though, it's honest. It doesn't lie. If someone has a fire, they're close, and they've survived what you haven't even fully begun to face. You begin to move toward it, slowly, steadily. You take care not to fall again. Your steps are measured, cautious. You're not just walking now, you're stalking. Following a trail made of nothing but air. Every few steps you stop and sniff. The wind keeps shifting. Sometimes the smoke vanishes, sometimes it swells stronger than before, and you feel your mouth go dry with longing. You imagine your fingers reaching toward it, not to hold it, never that, but just to feel it radiate. You'd give anything to sit near it, to close your eyes and thaw, to speak. If anyone is there, what would you say? You don't know. Maybe nothing. Maybe you just sit there and weep from the warmth. The terrain changes as you walk. Subtle at first, the snow deepens, then softens. You find traces of old firewood, blackened ends poking out from a drift. Your breath hitches. You're getting close, and then you see it. Nestled in a hollow against a slope of rock, nearly invisible from above, there is a flicker. A thread of gold unwinding into the grey, not big, not roaring, just a cluster of small flames shielded behind a wall of broken stone and leaning branches. It glows like something holy. You drop to your knees, not from reverence, from exhaustion. The fire is real, and someone made it. You approach on hands and knees, slowly, so slowly, like an animal creeping toward a trap. It's willing to risk. The warmth doesn't hit you all at once. It builds like a memory rekindling. Your eyes sting as it washes over your face. Your hands feel like they're swelling as the blood tries to return. Your legs ache differently now, thawing. And then a sound. Movement. A figure steps into the firelight. You freeze. Not modern, not like you. The figure is small, wrapped in layered hides, face shadowed under a thick hood of fur. Their eyes reflect the fire, wide and alert. Not afraid, but curious, wary. They don't speak, neither do you, because you've forgotten how. They study you, and for a moment you understand how you must look. Wild-eyed, shivering, broken at the knees. You don't know what to say, so you do the one thing left. You raise your hands, slowly, open palms, not as a plea, not as a threat, as surrender. They watch you for another breath, then step aside. And just like that, you are allowed in. The cave is shallow, but it holds the fire well. Stones have been ringed carefully to hold it. There are blackened sticks nearby, bones stacked at the edges, scraps of dried meat on a flat stone near the flames. This is survival, real survival, not yours. The figure sits across from you, still silent. They don't speak your language. Maybe they don't speak much at all, but the silence isn't cold, it's shared. It fills the space like a blanket, like the fire does. You extend your hands closer to the heat. The skin tightens, cracks. You hiss softly through your teeth as warmth returns, cruel and beautiful. It hurts, but it also saves. You don't ask questions. Because deep down, you know the answers. You would have died without this fire, and you still might. You look closer at the fire itself. The wood is old, dense, collected with care. Dried dung mixed in to keep the flame strong. It's not a blaze, it's a whisper. It's been tended, nursed, prayed to. Fire here isn't just heat, it's identity. It's the centre of thought, of song, of shelter. You remember what you learned as a child, that early humans didn't create fire easily. They waited for lightning or carried embers in stone. Fire was borrowed, stolen, protected, passed like bloodline. Here in the Ice Age, fire is not a tool, it's a deity, and you are now its supplicant. The figure tosses a bone into the fire. It cracks, releases a smell, sharp with marrow. They tear a strip of meat, press it toward you. You hesitate, but only for a moment. It's gamey, dry. Your jaw works too slowly, but your body thanks you. Even the taste, simple as it is, feels like gold. You look at the figure, they look back, still no words, but you understand each other in ways that matter. You, the one who arrived out of time. Them, the one who survives by knowing what time demands. The fire pops, the cave breathes, and for the first time since waking in this frozen world, your hands stop shaking. You don't feel safe, not exactly, but you feel something else, a beginning. Outside, the cold still howls, the predators still wait, but in here, for now, you hold the one thing the Ice Age never expected you to find: fire. At some point you drift, not asleep, not fully, just suspended, half conscious, caught between the ache in your limbs and the soft rhythm of the fire. Your mind floats, loose and fogged, no longer anchored in thoughts of survival. Just moments now. Heat, breath, the sound of the flames snapping against bones, and the feeling of not dying, which in this world feels dangerously close to living. But the warmth is temporary. Already it fades, the fire shrinks with every passing breath. The sticks are burning low, the core of the flame thinning into embers. Your host, if you can call them that, rises. They move without speaking, fluid and precise. They step to the cave's edge, look out into the dark, then back to you. You know what that look means. The night is only beginning. You pull yourself upright, stiff from cold and rest. Your body protests, hips cracking, wrists swollen, toes still without feeling. But you move anyway, because you have to. Rest here is not like rest in your world. It is not safety, it is pause. A breath, a flicker between storms. They gesture toward a bundle of furs near the wall. You crawl to it. It smells of earth and smoke and something animal, but you wrap it around yourself like a second skin. The heat trapped in the fabric sinks into your chest, and for a moment you feel as though you belong here. You don't, but the feeling is kind. Outside the cave, the wind has shifted. It no longer claws at the opening. It dances sideways now, slipping around the stone like it's forgotten you. But you know better. It will return, it always does. Your host adds dried dung to the fire, not much, just enough to coax a new breath of warmth. Then they sit, facing the entrance, eyes fixed on the horizon, as if watching for something, or waiting. You wonder how many nights they've done this, how many nights they've measured not in hours, but in coals, in the rate at which a fire dies, in the speed of the cold's return. How many nights they've survived by knowing exactly when to close their eyes, and when not to. You lie back only halfway resting. Your muscles twitch involuntarily, tiny jerks that remind you your body is still fighting. You can't sleep deeply, not here, not in this kind of dark, because this dark is not still. It breathes, it creaks, and sometimes it moves. A sudden gust rattles the cave opening. You flinch. Your host does not. Their eyes remain fixed on the night. You follow their gaze. At first you see nothing, just white and grey, drifting shadows, and the curve of distant snow. Then you see it. Not movement exactly, but absence. A shape against the wind, black, slow, purposeful. It pauses, it doesn't come closer, but it doesn't vanish either. The figure beside you doesn't react. No fear, no readiness, just stillness, watching. Eventually the shape turns. It fades into the white, like it was never there, but the knowledge of it lingers. Whatever it wasn't lost. It was looking. You pull the furs tighter, not for heat now, but for protection, as if that will help. The night deepens, the fire gutters, its light dim and red now, not orange. You can barely see the cave walls, just vague outlines. The air is no longer warm, just less cold. The smoke hangs heavy, soaking into your hair, your clothes, your skin. It stings, but you welcome it. Predators don't like fire. They don't like smoke. The cave, though shallow, offers some insulation. The rock holds a thin breath of the fire's heat, and you nestle closer to it, pressing your back against stone as if it's flesh. Your heart slows, not from peace, from fatigue. Every thought now is slower, softer. Even fear begins to melt into numbness. Your eyelids droop, not sleep, not yet, just blinking slower. You imagine what sleep would feel like here. It wouldn't be like home, not warm sheets and steady silence. It would be a ritual, a preparation, layers of hide wrapped precisely, a fire calculated to last just long enough. One ear open, one eye half lidded, your body curled like an animal, Your thoughts reduce to one command: wake. Wake if the fire dies. Wake if the wind changes. Wake if the silence breaks. Your host doesn't sleep. They sit upright, unmoving. Perhaps they will trade shifts with someone later, if there is someone. Or perhaps this is the price of living in a place like this. There is no such thing as unconsciousness without risk. You curl tighter into yourself. Your legs begin to cramp, but you dare not stretch. You press your forehead into your knees, breathing shallowly, listening. The wind moans now, low and constant. Somewhere outside, branches snap, not loudly, but with a deliberate finality. You try not to imagine teeth, eyes, claws, but they come anyway. Creatures shaped like nightmare, born into a world that rewards hunger and punishes rest. You think of home. But it feels imaginary now. Heaters, blankets, doors with locks. That world doesn't make sense anymore. It's not just that it's far away, it's that it feels impossible. Like a hallucination told in reverse. You glance at the fire. It's almost gone. Just embers now. Glowing like the last eyes of something dying. And suddenly you understand something deeply, in your bones. Fire isn't just warmth. It's memory. It's defiance. Without it, there is no night, just endless dark. Your host rises again. They shuffle through a small pile of fuel. Scraps of bark, a few dry roots, a pinch of grass, and feed it slowly to the dying glow. It flares slightly, a whisper of light returning. Enough to see the cave. Enough to see your own hands, still shaking beneath the fur. You meet their eyes, just once. They don't speak, but the fire does. It tells you survive, because soon the dark will press harder. And the real night hasn't even started. The fire is burning low again. Not gone, not yet, but shrinking. Each flame a little shorter than the last. Each crackle a little softer. The shadows on the walls begin to stretch, bleeding into the corners of the cave. You watch it happen in real time. This slow surrender to the dark. Your host doesn't flinch. They know what this means. They move with quiet purpose, gathering more fuel from a pouch near the wall. Not much remains. A few finger-thick twigs, a wad of dried grass, some brittle, curled bark. Everything is used with reverence. Nothing wasted, nothing assumed. You watch them work, their fingers steady despite the cold. You wonder how many years it took to become this fluent in survival. How many nights they spent memorizing the exact weight of a stick, the perfect angle to place a splinter so it burns slow, not fast. You can't help but think about what you would have brought if you knew this was coming. A sleeping bag, maybe. A box of matches. Packaged food, sealed warmth, the illusion of safety. And even then, would it be enough? No, because none of it replaces what they have. Knowledge. This person, this stranger, is a living archive of everything you never learned. They know which branches burn longest, which mosses smoke, how to wrap sinew around a stone blade so it doesn't slip, how to dry meat over low flame so it lasts through the white months. They know how to survive, not as a skill, but as a memory passed through blood and breath and silence. You have none of that. You have memory of other things. Emails, elevators, soft pillows. Useless here. You pull the furs tighter. Your bones feel hollow, like they've been scooped out and replaced with something lighter. Not pain, not quite numbness either. Something in between, something that means your body is slipping from itself. Your host tosses the last of the bark into the fire and glances at you. Not unkindly, but there's calculation in their eyes. They're measuring, judging. Not whether you're worth helping, whether you're worth the wood. And you don't blame them, because in this world, generosity is weighed against survival. They gesture toward your wrist. You hold it out. The swelling is worse now, the skin stretched and puffy, flushed in a way that speaks of something turning wrong. They press their thumb gently to the bone. You wince. They nod, just once, and retrieve a sliver of animal hide from the wall. Wrap it tight around the joint. Not a cure, but a start. Their touch is precise, efficient. They've done this before. You wonder how many times they've watched someone swell, fade, die, How many times they've carried knowledge like this into the dark, only to find it wasn't enough. You try to say thank you, but the words don't fit in your mouth. So you nod, and they nod back. You shift again, trying to ease the ache in your hips. The ground beneath you is frozen, even with the firs. The stone feels like it's drinking the heat from your spine. You wish you could lie flat, stretch your legs, let your body rest properly. But every instinct screams no. This is not a place for comfort. This is a place for alertness. You glance at the cave mouth. The wind outside is steady now. Not loud, but constant. A deep sigh that never finishes. It carries scents with it, faint but real. Musk, fur, the blood-sharp tang of something freshly dead. Predators still roam, but they're not the only thing out there. You remember stories, passed through museums and science books, of other humans. People like you, but not quite. Homo erectus, Neanderthals, Denisovans, all of them wandering through this same brutal cold, with eyes like yours but bodies tuned differently, broader, thicker, built for this world in a way you aren't. You wonder how many versions of humanity this cold has tested, and how many it has broken. You're just the latest, and you're failing. Your host begins to hum, not loud, just a low wordless sound, rising and falling like breath through cupped hands. A lullaby maybe, or a prayer. It doesn't matter that you don't understand the melody. The meaning is there, in the rhythm, in the fact that they hum at all. Because even here, even now, there's space for music. You close your eyes, not sleep, just surrender. For a moment you let your mind drift, and in that moment you remember things you didn't know you missed. Laughter echoing down a hallway, the smell of hot food, the softness of bed sheets fresh from a dryer. Your mother's hand on your forehead, checking for fever. The weight of a book on your lap. All of it ridiculous here, but not meaningless. Because all those things are fire too. Your host stops humming. You open your eyes. They're watching the cave mouth again. Their hand has moved toward a spear. Not grabbing it, just resting on it. You hear it then. Movement outside. Soft, measured. Not the sound of something stalking, the sound of something curious. Another shape appears at the cave's edge. Human, wrapped in hides, carrying a bundle of branches over one shoulder. Your host relaxes. So do you. Barely. The newcomer enters wordless. Their face is older, weathered like bark. They drop the bundle beside the fire and begin to sort through it, feeding the flames with care. You watch as the fire grows, not wild, but steady. This is what survival looks like here. Not dramatic, not loud, just effort, shared in silence. And you begin to understand something else. It wasn't tools that made them endure. It wasn't muscle. It was memory. It was knowing. It was never being alone. And now, in this cave with strangers who do not speak your tongue, you are closer to being human than you've ever been. The fire rises again, and the dark, for a little while, retreats. The new flames climb slowly, casting gold onto stone and skin. You watch their dance with the reverence of someone who's been cold too long. The ache in your bones doesn't vanish, but it softens. Your breath no longer rattles in your chest, and though the wind still sighs at the mouth of the cave, you no longer flinch when it does. You lean forward slightly, hands extended toward the warmth. The skin along your fingers is raw, blistered in places, stiff in others. The heat feels like it's peeling you open, but you don't move away. Pain is a small price. In fact, it's a gift, a reminder that your hands are still yours, that they haven't become ice yet, that there's still something inside you worth keeping warm. The older figure, the one who brought the wood, sits now. They don't speak, but their presence changes the space. It's calmer, more certain. The other one, your first companion, sits across from them and begins preparing something on a flat stone near the fire. Pieces of meat, slivers of root, something dry and bitter smelling that crumbles like bark. They mash it together with a rock, mixing it into a paste. You don't ask what it is. You don't care. Your hunger is no longer a dull background hum. It is everything. It is your heartbeat. When they offer you a chunk, you take it with both hands. The taste is harsh, earthy, sour, like something left in the sun too long, but it fills your mouth with purpose. You chew slowly, your jaw trembling, and you feel it spread warmth through your chest, like liquid light. Your stomach tightens, unsure of what to do with real food, but it obeys. You let yourself look at them more closely now. Your companions. These people whose names you will never know, whose words you cannot understand. Their faces are roughened by wind and age, their eyes deep-set, rimmed with cold. But there's nothing fragile in them. Every wrinkle is a record, every scar is a signature. These are not people who survive the cold. They are people who belong to it. You realise then, you're not the centre of this story. You're not the hero, not the one who overcomes. You're the outsider, the question, the anomaly. They would have survived this night with or without you, and maybe you wouldn't have survived it at all without them. Still, they've let you stay. They've shared their warmth, their food, their fire, and now they share something more. The older one reaches behind a stack of stone and brings out a hide, tough, worn and covered in pigment. They unfold it slowly and place it between you all. You lean in, curious. It's not just a blanket, it's painted. A story, rendered in strokes of red, ochre and charcoal. There's a figure at the centre, stick-limbed and wide-eyed. Human, or close to it. Around it, animals. Mammoth, bison, wolves, creatures you can't name. Spirals and lines wrap around them, as if showing movement, or meaning. The younger one points to the central figure, then to you. Then they point to themselves, to the older one, then to the fire. You don't know the language, but you feel the message settle into your ribs. We've all stood there. In the cold, in the dark, we've all been the one who didn't know what came next. The painting isn't just a story, it's a memory, a warning, a lesson passed down, not through words, but through pigment and time. You think about your own stories told in pixels, in ink, in film. You wonder how many of them will outlast your century, your comforts, your fire. And you realise this isn't the past. This isn't dead. This is survival breathing beside you. They don't point at the art again. They don't need to. The story has been told. The fire crackles. The wind presses against the cave, but doesn't enter. You lean back and for the first time, the ground beneath you doesn't feel like an enemy. Just hard, just cold, but bearable. The cave isn't quiet, not entirely. You begin to hear the small things again. The pop of sap in the wood, the rustle of fur as someone shifts their seat, the soft grinding of stone against stone as the older one sharpens a blade with calm repetition. These sounds are sacred here, signs of life, of presence. And now, you're part of them. Not fully, not yet, but part. Your eyes drift toward the mouth of the cave. The night outside is still endless, still waiting. But the fear that once lived in it has dimmed, not vanished, but dimmed. You know now that the cold doesn't want you dead. It just doesn't care if you die. There's no malice in the wind, in the snow, in the creatures who stalk the edges of firelight. There's only hunger, need, the same need that's in you, the same need that brought you here, crawling through snow, chasing smoke on the air. The fire gives one last bright flare, sending shadows leaping against the stone. For a moment the cave is lit like morning. You see everything. The meat, the scars, the painting, the hands resting close together, but not touching. Then the flame drops again, back to a steady glow. The older one closes their eyes. The younger one leans forward, feeding a final sliver of fuel into the coals. You wrap your arms around yourself, not from fear, but to hold the warmth closer. There is nothing to say, only to endure. You let your body settle into its own weight. Let your eyes soften, your breathing slow. You will not sleep, not deeply, but you will rest, for as long as the fire lasts, for as long as these people allow you. Outside, the predators still roam, but you are not alone anymore. You are one breath among many, one shadow beside a fire that is older than language, and the night, for all its cold, must now contend with that. The fire doesn't die. It whispers down to its bones, yes, but it doesn't die. It lingers low and red, a sleeping thing. You sit close, arms wrapped around your knees, barely moving, barely blinking. You've long stopped shivering, not because the cold is gone, nothing so kind, But because your body has given up the luxury of protest, there's a stillness inside you now. Not calm, not peace, just endurance. The same kind of silence you saw in your companion's eyes. That deep prehistoric knowing. This is what it means to stay alive. No one has spoken in hours. You haven't counted time, because time isn't measured here in minutes or hours. It's measured in how long the fire lasts, how far the wind seeps in, how many mouthfuls of dried meat are left, how many times you blink and open your eyes to find that yes, the cave is still here, the walls are still solid, the people around you are still breathing. And you, somehow, you're still here too. You listen. Beyond the wind there are other sounds now. Not voices, not words, but the creak of trees shifting under frost, the distant clatter of ice breaking loose from its own weight. Somewhere, far beyond the mouth of the cave, a creature calls out, long and low, a sound older than fear. You don't respond, you just note it, and tuck the knowledge somewhere quiet, because fear is a luxury now, too. It doesn't help you eat, it doesn't light the fire, it doesn't remember which way the snowdrifts bend when the storm clears. It's strange. This night has changed you. Not loudly, not with sudden cinematic drama, but slowly, like water shaping stone. There's a version of you that existed before the cold touched your bones, before your fingers blistered, before you crawled toward fire with nothing but desperation and smoke in your lungs. That version is gone, left behind somewhere in the snow. What remains is quieter, harder, wiser perhaps. You don't know if you're stronger, but you are something else. Something that remembers the colour of firelight on rock, the sound of breath in a shared silence, the way survival isn't won, it's given for a time by those who know how to hold it. You glance at your companions again. They're both still awake, but only just. Their eyes are hooded, their bodies slack, heads tilted back against the stone. Their spears rest within reach, always. Their fire is never left alone. They don't trust the night. They don't worship it either. They simply live with it. And maybe that's the lesson. You came here thinking survival was about fighting, about struggling against the dark with teeth bared and fists clenched. But it isn't. Not really. It's about learning to kneel, to wait, to listen to the rhythm of a world that doesn't care if you live or die, and matching your breath to it anyway. You think of the painting again, the one they unrolled earlier. The central figure, arms outstretched, surrounded by animals and wind and fire. Was it a story, a warning, a prayer, or was it all three? You lie back, slowly, letting your body find its own shape on the cave floor. The fur beneath you is stiff with old smoke and sweat, but it cradles you. Warmer now, or maybe you've forgotten what true cold feels like. Maybe your body just doesn't fight it anymore. Your eyes trace the roof of the cave, uneven, spotted with soot marked by 1,000 winters. You wonder how many others have laid here before you. How many strangers found this same fire? How many faded in the night and were carried out when the storm broke? You won't know. The Ice Age doesn't keep records. It only keeps going. And that's what makes this moment sacred. This tiny flicker of life in a world that specialises in forgetting. The warmth you feel now, the hum of blood in your fingers, the breath you exhale into the dark, that's the miracle. Not that you were strong, not that you fought, but that you were here at all. You close your eyes, just for a moment, not to sleep, just to feel yourself still breathing. Tomorrow will come, or it won't. But tonight, in the jaws of an age that swallowed mammoths and glaciers and tribes and gods, you endured. You weren't meant to survive a night like this, but you did.